Well, hey everybody, it is Melanie Mitro, the host of the Melanie Mitro Show, and we're back. It's a new week, it's a new episode, and hopefully you are thriving in the September energy and momentum of back to school season, kids getting back into routines. And I know for me, I really have been craving some normalcy and some routine. And one of the things that I actually have been sharing in my stories is over the summer, I really gave myself permission to do whatever I wanted. And not that I didn't work, I actually was very intentional. I showed up, I had some huge momentum months over the summer, but I also allowed myself to be a little bit more free and flexible in my schedule. And that meant that my workouts sort of were happening whenever, and our bedtimes were a little later than usual, and we allowed ourselves to sleep in more than normal. But I will tell you, when the boys went back to school, I was really ready to get back into a rhythm and routine. And so here we are, we're a couple of weeks into September, and my husband and I have found ourselves finally in a good routine where we get the kids on the bus and we do our workout, maybe do a sauna session, take the dogs for a walk, and get into the work day. And it feels really good to have that cadence and that rhythm and routine. And I find that a lot of people around me are also doing the same thing. Everybody is finding their new rhythm and routine. And here's what always ultimately happens is that anytime somebody doubles down and decides that they're going to go all in, whether you're starting a new business venture or you're in a season where you want to invest some more time and some more energy, I find that there's always this really steep, and we talked about this in last week's podcast episode, right? There's that messy middle. There's this steep climb and learning curve between when you launch your business and start to see momentum and success and like where you are at, right? So like where you're at now, and then being able to look and see where you want to go and getting to that point. And it's like that really beginning stage of momentum building is just where most people struggle. It just is a part that people struggle so much. And so one of the things that I have been doing on my social media is actually talking about consistency. I've been talking about this in my ambassador mentorships that I run, in my group coaching programs. I talk about the importance of consistency. And it's not about being lucky in any business, in any industry. Every successful entrepreneur I have ever followed, it isn't about luck. Maybe there were points in their life that they were in the right place at the right time, but it was all the work that they did leading up to that right place and right time that prepared them for what they were able to accomplish and achieve. And a lot of times it is the posts that are subpar, that are not well written, the photos that are taken that are not really beautiful and polished. It is the messages and the emails and the follow-ups that people do long before they start to catch that momentum. It's that belief in where you're going and what you're working towards. It's that grit. It's the grit we talked about last week. And what I find is most people quit in direct sales, not because they can't succeed at it. And maybe you need to hear this as a leader because you're thinking about your own business right now. It's because people can't actually sit in that messy middle long enough to let momentum build. That's the straight. If I'm just shooting you straight, and I can literally off the top of my head think of a handful of people that are frustrated with their results because they aren't allowing themselves to sit in the messy middle with the consistency that is required to achieve next level success. And so on Monday, it was September 8th, I actually posted on my social media this little September challenge. And I gave this framework of what consistent action should look like. And that consistent action, just for a really quick review, was every single day you're posting on social media. You're showing up in your stories every single day. I gave a little framework, 7 to 10 stories. I said you're reading 10 minutes of personal development. You're inviting 3 to 5 people to join you. You're answering your inbox. And then I also talked about just taking care of yourself and your health and your wellness. And so those things, you're like, yep, check. Okay, got it. Writing this down, taking notes as I'm listening to this podcast. But then because they're so simple and easy to do, so many don't do them. And I don't just mean new people in direct sales. I am speaking to the leader that is listening to this right now, and you are not posting consistently on Facebook and Instagram. You post maybe every 2-3 days because you're busy leading your team, or you show up in stories and you just kind of document, but you're not really talking products and inviting people to anything. And then you don't understand why you don't have new people coming in, or why it's been a slow month so far, or why nobody is signing up for your team, or why the people that are on your team are also not doing the things that they should be doing. And it's actually because you as the leader are not modeling good behavior. And you've gotten so far in your business. And here's a whole other category of people. You have built a really successful business, maybe in prior industries, in prior business models. And here you are today, and you're needing to, quote unquote, build again, rebuild, build back, new wave of leadership, whatever it might be. And there's a little bit of this, like, I have to swallow my pride because I have to get in the trenches and do the work alongside of my people. And you know what? Ego sometimes gets in there and it messes with you. And you think to yourself, I shouldn't have to be doing this. I'm 11 months into my business. I shouldn't have to do this anymore. Or I'm 10 years into my business. I shouldn't have to work this hard anymore. And I will tell you, friend, when ego or that whole, like, I shouldn't have to do this anymore, where you feel like you're above the hard work, that is a cancer that is spreading throughout your mind, and it is going to take you out. It is going to take you out, because every single individual who has ever achieved something great does not look at it and say, that's beneath me. They roll up their sleeves and they get to work. Why? Because it does a few different things. When the leader is in it, is in the trenches, in the minutia, in the details, at certain points along the journey, it inspires vision, it inspires action from other people, and it's a good model. Now people know what to do and they follow your lead. So here's what I want to say today. You're going to walk away from the end of our conversation today, and you can feel the fiery Melanie Mitro happening right now, but we're going to talk about what could be keeping you stuck. How do you stay the course? What is it that separates those from the ones that thrive and succeed and the ones that quit? And it boils down to the real problem. The real problem in all of this is we live in a culture where instant gratification is expected. If you want a certain look, you wanted it yesterday. It's what's the magic pill? What do I need to drink? What do I need to do because I need to look a certain way or be a certain way? Nobody wants to really do the hard work. Everybody's looking for the shortcut, the quick fix, the secret sauce. And if you're guilty of this, it's okay. I've found myself at one point or another falling victim to that too. What can I do? How can I make this a quick fix? And I always remind myself that everything worth having is worth working for. I had this conversation with my son the other day. He wants so badly to get his driver's license, but he also plays on the golf team. And I talked to him about the fact that he has a driving lesson on Friday, which is required before he gets his license. And he has a golf match on Friday, and they conflict there at the same time. And he's like, I just won't go to my golf match. And I said to him, Landon, I get it. Short term, you want that driver's license. That's what you want in the moment. I said, but that's an instant gratification. Just don't do the match. Go take your driving test. But what you really want is to play golf in college. Do you think skipping your golf match on Friday is going to help you with getting one step closer to playing golf in college, or do you think it's going to hurt you? And then all of a sudden you saw the wheels turning, but even though he didn't want to say the answer that he should say, right? You could see it. He didn't want to say it, but he knew what the right decision was. That's how we are. We are all the same way. We are sitting here scrolling on our devices and we're constantly seeing Susie Q, who had $1 million month, and Jamie, who just rank advanced 4 times, and Amy, who just launched her business and had 160 new people sign up with her. And all of a sudden we become like a ping pong ball. Maybe I should do this business, or this one's better, or this one's going to give me more money faster. And all I have to say is that, friends, if you're chasing the next carrot, you're chasing the next shiny object, you're going to always be starting and stopping. And every time you make a switch, you lose a little bit of that credibility along the way. And so the reality is that most of us play a narrative in our minds that like, this should be working by now. I should be making more money than I am making right now. And so we have to recognize that. It's like, if you have to write this on a sticky note and say, anytime this thought comes into my mind, I am going to delete it and say that is the enemy speaking over me. And I'm going to remind myself that, yes, I am exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. I am exactly where I'm supposed to be right now. I am making this certain money and I am this certain rank, and I've had these leaders come and go in my business because it is teeing me up to either a business lesson, a life lesson, something that's going to help me in my next phase of leadership and growth. Right now, I'm reading a devotional. I do it every single morning. It's called 100 Days to Living Deeply Rooted. I get questions about it all the time because I share screenshots of it in the morning. And one of the sections that I'm navigating through right now is how is preparation in the times where you feel like you aren't getting answers. Your prayers aren't being answered, your requests aren't being met, and you feel like it's just this constant, it's silence. You're asking, you're praying, you're looking for solution, but nothing is happening for you. And so that's very real. That happens in our lives. And if we can start to remind ourselves, and I've learned to condition myself that it is in the waiting, it is in the quiet seasons where I am being prepared. And I've learned to ask myself, what lesson am I learning? And any time that I get into, I should be further along, or it's not working fast enough, or look at what so-and-so is doing, I remind myself, I'm on my own race. I'm moving at my own pace, and I am making an impact here. And that just might be the thing you need to hear today, is that you are running your own race, moving at your own pace, and making an impact exactly where you're supposed to make an impact. And really, momentum in your business is about the compound effect. You might not see it at first, but it's going to explode. When I first started in direct sales, and this is one of the things that I always coach my clients through, is one of my favorite books. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. If you don't have that book, please go buy it right now and start reading it. I have read this book numerous times. It's been dog-eared and underlined, and it's been paraphrased in trainings that I've done. But this book is about small, daily, consistent actions that when they're repeated over time are going to yield exponentially large results. So for example, your small daily consistent actions are that September consistency challenge I post about, the posts that you put up, the stories, the personal development, the invites, the follow-ups, the answering the messages. Those things, when you do them consistently, even though some people are not going to notice whether you don't do them, but it's when you choose to do them, you actually begin to stand out. When I first started in direct sales, a lot of people were cheering me on. And they were really excited for me that I was launching this new business. And they were like, wow, you're doing an amazing job. Like, I'm so excited for you. Congratulations. I wish you all the best of luck. And I had some early adopters that came in and bought products from me. But I had a lot of people that were content with what they were doing for their health and their fitness. But I knew that if I kept showing up and adding value and sharing my own personal journey and struggles to triumphs, and I just kept being consistent and reaching out to people that were interested, following along, asking more questions, I just knew that eventually, when people were frustrated by what they were doing, if it wasn't working, if they had fallen off track, if they needed a new routine. I wanted to always be the person that they were thinking about. And so what took me a slow start at the beginning of my first business with 75 Facebook friends, less 0 Instagram followers, it grew into a number 1 team in the network. And if in that first 90 days and in that first 18 months, if I would have said, this isn't happening fast enough, I'm not seeing success fast enough, if I would have started to repeat those things to myself, and then I would have started to pull back, none of this would have happened. I wouldn't be here today recording this podcast with over 8 million downloads, having grown an organization, even in my past company, with over 30,000 individuals, and on the path to doing it again here. It was that ability to say, I'm going to do the mundane, the messy, the not so pretty every single stinking day, whether people respond or not. I'm showing up for me and for the person that needs this message today. If it's one person, if it's 1,000, if it's 100,000 people, I'm showing up. And so what happens is, because I was doing that every day, I was putting deposits in the bank of trust. And I was building momentum. And my momentum meter was going up. It wasn't about me having the perfect post or the perfect story set, the perfect message to send to other people. It was truly showing up enough times so that the momentum begins to tip in your favor. This is why so many people don't succeed. They don't get the instant hit of dopamine, and they don't do the next post. They get rejected 5 times through messages, and they don't send another message. The person reads a message, doesn't respond. They take that as a sign the person's not interested, when in reality, the person just forgot to respond to the message. When it comes to building success in your business, a lot of it is mental, which is why a huge part of any entrepreneurial journey is about the books that you read and the podcasts you listen to and the people you surround yourself with. What are you reading right now? What are you listening to right now that is reminding you that your journey, your valley that you're navigating through is no different than anybody else's? It's just clothed in different clothes. But we all are navigating with rejection and failure and obstacles and roadblocks and maybe sick kids or weird schedule changes or having to work full time and not being able to pour into the business that you want to pour into yet. But it's coming. It's coming. So I want to encourage you to lean into the messy and the mundane. Those daily habits, they really do work. When I read The Compound Effect, I became obsessed with the daily activities. And I became obsessed with just doing the gritty work. And I believed, and my mantra always was, that I am willing to work harder than anybody else in the room. I am willing to show up and do what other people are not willing to do so that I can have the things that other people wish they could have 3 to 5 years from now. And that, my friends, was the mantra that when my feet hit the floor at that 5 a.m. alarm, that I would repeat, I am up, I am up, I am willing to do what other people are not willing to do. And there were years where other people were moving faster than me. There were so many times where people were making more money than me, and I felt like I was working harder than they were. And I had to swallow that pride, and I had to be willing to stay the path and get in the trenches and do the work. I had to call myself out when I was making excuses, when I was playing small, when I was getting in my own way. This journey of growth still is a path of me calling myself out and not letting obstacles get in the way and challenging my own personal thoughts about business and leadership. I am always strengthening that part of my life. So leaders, I want to speak to you right now, because if you're listening to this and you're leading 1, 5, 10, 15, 20 people right now, I want to just elevate you beyond just head down hard work. As a leader, Yes, you have to do the work. Love John Maxwell's law of the lid. You will always recruit people to your own level of excellence. So if you were to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10, what kind of leader are you? Are you a level 10 leader, a level 5 leader? If you say to yourself, man, I'm a level 5 leader, I'm 50% of the time consistent. I'm in for the most part, but then sometimes I lose motivation and I'm not really plugged in. And sometimes I lead from the front and sometimes I don't. If that's you, you will not recruit a level 10 leader to your team. Very rarely does that happen. And so if you want to recruit better people to your organization, you have to raise your level of leadership and start working on becoming a level 10 leader. You will always recruit to your lowest level of ability. So that makes it so important right now. And hey, you might actually say, I'm a level 5 right now. That's the reality of it. But maybe your next goal is, I'm going to raise it up to a level 6, to a level 7. I'm going to become a higher level leader. That starts with you committing to yourself to do the consistent action. And then that means that you begin to teach the people in your proximity why consistency matters. It's not about what you do, but it's why you do it. And a big red blinking light is if you quit when it gets hard, your team is going to mirror that too. If at the first sight of challenge, maybe you have a leader that steps back, if you step back too, that just tells your team, well, when something goes wrong, I step back and I check out. When something in my personal life goes sideways, I piece out of the business. Guess what the rest of your team does? The next time they have a life situation happening, they're piecing out. They're not going to be showing up. So warning, if you're a quitter when it gets hard, you're going to have a team of quitters that quit when it gets hard too. If you don't finish the challenge, you can't expect other people around you to do the same. That is a huge reason why in the month of August, when it came down to the last 5 days of the month, and I was looking at those numbers and I'm like, we are there. There's a big gap. We've got to fill this gap. Like, it's going to take all hands on deck. There is a big reason I didn't just hit that goal for me. I hit that goal for everybody else that was watching me. Everybody else that was watching me. Because I wanted them to know what you do when the road gets a little rocky, when there's obstacles that you're like, I just don't think I'm going to get there. I wanted them to see how I showed up and either succeeded or failed. I needed them to have a front row seat to this is how we do business and life. We are finishers. We are finishers. That's a core value of mine. People that are not willing to work hard to the finish line, to the final hour, if they aren't at the goal yet, you aren't my people. Because I firmly believe that when you have your mind set on a goal and it matters to you, we don't give up when the gap is big. We put our head down and we just go, and wherever we land at the end, we celebrate the wins, we look for the blind spots, and we reevaluate, recalibrate, and get back on the horse and go again. Doesn't mean we burn ourselves into the ground. We recalibrate in there, but we are finishers. We are finishers. So what do we need to do? We need to reframe ourselves a little bit in this process, right? We need to reframe ourselves, because here's the thing. Time isn't the problem. Time. It's not that you don't have enough time in your life to build your business. It's your priorities that are a challenge. That's the problem. You're letting distraction rule your life by having too many tabs open, by allowing an open calendar where anybody can just pop in a meeting. You're allowing other things in life to take precedence, meaning you don't set the boundaries. For example, my boys always know when I have calls. It's on our calendar. We have one of those skylight calendars. It sits on the kitchen counter and the kids can see it at any point in time. And they can see, oh, mom has a nighttime call tonight. If I need a ride somewhere, I'm going to need to ask before 8 p.m. Or, oh, mom's out of town this week. I'm going to need to get a ride to the football game, or I'm going to have to get dad to take me there. It's actually, I have learned to let my family know what the boundaries are. I also understand that sometimes I have to make difficult decisions. I was voice messaging one of my leaders this morning and I said, oh, I love going to my workout class, but this week I'm actually just working out it from home because my to-do list is so long and there's so many things that are urgent and very important that need to get done. And I'm going to need to rearrange things a little bit. So I'm still going to work out. It's just going to be at home. It's going to be first thing in the morning so I can get into my work day. I have found myself, like, there are certain times, like when life goes haywire, I look at my calendar and go, what can happen later? What can happen later? What's absolutely one of the most important things to get done? Because I know that this will always be an ongoing thing in my life, whether it's back to school or it's the upcoming holiday or it's just a busy week or busy month. It's when you show up in the busy and build. It's when you show up when life gets hard and you show people how you're navigating and tweaking and changing things, that the real character is actually built. People don't follow you because your life is easy. They follow you because you show them what is possible in the messy middle. So here's what I want you to think about today. I want you to think, okay, I don't need to be motivated. I actually just need a method to follow. And this September challenge that I've put out there, this method, these things that I have put on that graphic, which is your social media posts, your stories, your invites, your follow-ups, your answering all of your messages and doing your personal development, that's the method. That's the framework. And what I want to encourage you to do is become an expert at those areas. Because we can take each one of them. We can take posting on social media and say, all right, there's a whole framework for how to post. I'm not an expert at that yet, but let me work on that skill. Let me work on the skill of inviting. Let me work on who am I inviting? What am I saying? What's my conversation flow? There is more than enough to go around. There are so many different areas within that September consistency challenge that we can go deeper and we can grow this strong foundation. And when you lean into that, your roots go deep and you are going to go straight up and build strong. And when you bring people in to a strong foundation, they feel stability. They feel that sense of calm. They feel that sense of peace, and they want to build there with you. I find that success is incredibly boring before it gets exciting. And if you quit too soon, you're actually robbing yourself of all the exciting things that are coming your way. Momentum is not magic. It's just a math problem. So friends, as you're listening to this today and you're really thinking about this whole consistency challenge, and maybe you commented on the post, but you don't even remember what it is, I want you to go back and take a screenshot. And I want you to take a moment in your quiet time to say, what kind of business owner do I want to be? Am I Quick Fix Carl? Am I Finisher Finley? I bet you guys are laughing at me right now because I just said Finisher Finley. I couldn't think of anything off the top of my head a little bit faster, right? But that's who I want us to be. I want us to be the person who finishes strong, who understands that it is not always going to be easy and every day isn't going to be perfect, but I'm not just showing up for me, but I'm showing up for the people that are watching. I'm showing up for the people that are around me, and I'm showing up for my future self and what I want to have. Let's not be instant gratification individuals. Let's be compound effect humans that see the power in showing up daily. All right. I really encourage you to take the consistency challenge. Do it with your teams. Make this a team call. Get in there and talk about the mindset of success. Give people a tracker. Celebrate success. Maybe you do some recognition around consistency challenges. Maybe you celebrate people who are doing things out of their comfort zone. Maybe you document your own consistency challenge on your social media and take people on the journey with you. It'll shift your business. It'll shift your mindset. It'll grow your confidence in ways you never thought possible. So friends, if today's podcast episode, it was something you needed to hear today, maybe you are just kind of willy-nilly all over the place, we're going to rein it back in and you're going to take a screenshot of this episode. You're going to tag me at Melanie Mitro on Instagram. You're going to tell me what your favorite part of this podcast was, and you're going to let me know if you are in for the podcast challenge, all right? The consistency challenge. And then if you can do me the biggest favor of all, take 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, head on over to iTunes, click on the Melanie Mitro Show, leave me a rating and review because it helps other people find the podcasts that are just like you, that are looking to grow, that are looking to develop a significant, successful business, and are looking for the strategies to make that happen. All right. Thanks so much, guys, for being here. And let's use this time to create momentum and crush our September consistency challenge.